Number 86 is asking us to determine where g of x below is increasing, decreasing, concave up, and concave down. So g of x equals to x to the third minus 2x squared plus x minus 1. To find where g of x is increasing and decreasing, we would use the first derivative test. So in order to do that, we have to find the first derivative of g of x. So g prime of x equals to 3x squared minus 4x plus 1. And you would have to set that equal to 0 to find the critical points. It's 3x squared minus 4x plus 1 equals to 0. And then you would factor that out and you would solve. And the two critical points would be x equals 1/3 and x equals 1. Then you would plug the critical points into a number line. So the critical points were 1/3 and 1. And in order to find where g of x is increasing and decreasing, we would have to find where g prime of x is positive or negative. So you would plug in a number that is less than 1/3. So I just picked 0, and then you would plug 0 into g prime of x, and that would give you a positive number. And then after, you would plug in something above 1/3, so I picked 2/3 and plug it back into g prime of x, and that would give you a negative number. And then you would do that same thing with a number more than 1, so I picked 2, and I plugged 2 into g prime of x, and I got a positive number. So once you have the positive, negative, positive, you'd know that the graph of g of x is increasing where g prime of x is positive, decreasing where g prime of x is negative, increasing where g prime of x is positive. So we know that it's increasing from negative infinity to 1/3 and 1 to infinity, and decreasing from 1/3 to 1. So in order to find where g of x is concave up and concave down, we would have to use a second derivative test. So we know that g prime of x is 3x squared minus 4x plus 1. So g double prime of x would be 3x minus 4. And then you would set that equal to 0 as well, and you would find the critical point, which is 2/3. Then you'd plug in the critical point 2/3 into a number line, and you would find a value that is less than 2/3, and I pick 0, and so you plug 0 into g double prime of x, and that would give you a negative number. And then you would find a number that is bigger than 2/3. So I picked 1, and you'd plug that back into g prime of x, and that'd give you a positive number. And so now we know that g of x is concave down because g prime of x is a negative number, and g of x is concave up because g prime of x is positive. So we know that at negative infinity to 2/3, it's concave down, and at 2/3 to infinity, it's concave up.